Hey guys, it's your girl Rhea.
And this is Brandon.
And you are watching
More Love with R&B.
And today we are talking about the importance of premarital counseling.
Yes.
So,
guess we'll just get into it.
Yeah.
So, I guess the first thing we can say about premarital counseling is...
We did it.
We did it. Yeah. Yeah, we actually did it.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Why did we do it? It was important to us that I'll just cut to the chase. We listened to people. We talked to other married people. We talked to her parents. We talked to a lot of friends. We talked to a lot of people about premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, yeah, you should get that. You should do that.
Absolutely.
And we didn't just do it just because people said to do it, but the reasons they gave were very good. They said you want to get to know who you're dealing with in a setting where there can be a mediator. You want to get to know your future spouse in a setting where there's someone who can be unbiased and give advice. The reality is that when you're dating and you're putting your best foot forward and you're talking to each other about your history and your past and who you are today, you're giving them everything that you want them to hear and see.
Exactly.
Premarital counseling will pull out all the red flags that you might be blind to in the dating scenario.
We wanted to make sure that we were well informed about what marriage is all about because we had never been married before.
Right.
And just roles and expectations of husbands and wives. We wanted to get a biblical perspective, but we also wanted to get a practical perspective of what to expect in marriage. And so we did premarital counseling. Also,
one of the things that we were encouraged to do, and we actually did, was we got premarital counseling before we got engaged.
Absolutely.
And here's why. A lot of people get engaged, and then again, this is not a knock on anybody, but a lot of people get engaged, and then they start planning their honeymoon, they start planning the wedding, and then they start paying DJs and caterers and paying for the facility.
People start buying tickets to fly into town for your wedding.
Right. And then at some point through all that making lists and planning, oh, you know what we should do? We should get some premarital counseling. Like it's some cookies from the mall or something. Like we should get some premarital counseling. Oh, you know what? That would be a great idea. Let's just go get some premarital counseling. And then you're sitting in counseling and a really good counselor starts pulling out all your garbage, all your baggage, all your issues. And they're doing that in front of the person that's going to be your spouse. You're sitting there dumbfounded like, I didn't know I was still dealing with that. And they're sitting there like, oh my gosh, I did not know he was dealing with that or she was dealing with that. And so now you're sitting in an environment where the both of you are basically trying to press forward, but it's hard because you've seen all this stuff laid bare that you didn't pull out in your dating.
Right. And
so now you've got people who, there have been situations where people have called the whole thing off. Well, we're not getting married because this person's still dealing with this person, I can't even see myself. It's a whole nother ball game because now you're faced with the reality of what you're about to tie yourself to for the rest of your life. And some people can't handle it, so they cut the relationship off. And now you've wasted all this money. You've paid people with funds that you didn't have. You've paid deposits that aren't refundable. And again, like she said, people have paid for tickets to fly in, and all of a sudden now you're like, yeah, we're not doing it. So it's just our particular perspective. We would encourage you to get your premarital counseling done before you get engaged so that way, if anything comes up, and here's the thing, it's not even if you're going to actually not get married, you may just want to push things back so that you guys can deal with issues either together or individually.
Maybe finances or
right.
living situations or whatever that could possibly make you want to prepare before you actually start preparing for a wedding.
So lastly, we learned a lot in premarital counseling, and today we're just going to share just 3 of those things that we learned, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you guys.
Yeah.
The first one is that we learned that we're both really selfish, and that's kind of, I guess, expected. because we were single, kind of living our life, doing what we wanted for ourselves in the first place. But premarital counseling helped us to kind of start thinking more marriage-minded, so that I could start thinking about someone else before myself.
Another thing that we learned in premarital counseling is that our past could definitely affect our marriage. And a lot of people don't think that. They think, oh, my past is in my past. I'm a new person. I'm good. You know, we dated for a couple of years. We feel like the past is in the past, but when you start living with someone, and we did not live together until after we got married, when you live with someone, things come out, and things that you thought you dealt with and you didn't will come up.
And the last thing that we are going to share with you guys that we learned in premarital counseling was how to fight effectively. And of course, initially I'm like, man, I ain't worried about fighting because I don't even get into all that, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is every couple fights. And so what we learned was how to fight effectively. So just a few quick tips that might help you guys. One, don't leave the house angry. Don't go to bed angry. Don't use extreme terms like always and never, because those kind of get lost in the communication where you're like, well, you always do this. And the other person's like, oh, always? Like, that's how people get stuck. And then lastly, like when you're fighting with your spouse, it's really hard to remember, but you have to bring it back into focus that you guys are on the same team. That was one of the things that we continued to get thrown at us every day, every week that we had premarital counseling, was to remember that we're on the same team. Yeah. Maybe because, you know, it was pretty obvious that we were walking into a union, that there was going to be a lot of conflict.
Absolutely. So these are just some of the things that we learned in premarital counseling, and while we feel like it's very important for you to consider premarital counseling before you get engaged, we hope that this will spark some conversation between you and your significant other.
Yes.
And we hope that you enjoyed this video.
Yes, if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe.
So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.